This is very weird, taping yourself, recording yourself. We're gonna give it a go though. Gotta get rid of this gum though. My Monaco people falling off. Clip. Little clippy. Little clip. Alright, so we're going to be recording today's podcast for you to see how it goes down. Actually, one of my other videos, my son pointed out last night that the highest viewed video that I have, other than my MacBook Pro review, is my podcast. I guess people like to see how I do it, so this is my office, this is my conference room, this is how I record. It's a Tascam DR22WL. I have no idea what that means. And there's a bunch of settings and crap that I know nothing about. But anyway. Gotta get in the mood. Beat the ball. Anyway, sorry. Little crazy today. Crazy today. Hey, welcome to another edition of the Ripple Effect Podcast. I am your host, Steve Harper, and hopefully you can hear me okay. I got this little Mikey thing on my t-shirt, which makes it look like I'm wearing a bra. I'm also recording this, which is very weird to see myself speaking into the netherworld and having it recorded. So, you can check that out on our YouTube channel. Find me under Steve Harper, The Ripple Effect. All that good stuff on YouTube if you really want to see how the sausage is made, because we got it on video. Anyway, so welcome to today's show. It's August. I have been a utter failure in getting yet another episode done for you, but I promised and committed I was going to do it before the end of the month, and I got it done. It has been a whirlwind, absolutely crazy tour of time and spectacle. I actually did a Ripple Life video you also will find on my YouTube channel, talking about how crazy life has been schedule-wise for the past few weeks, really for the entire summer as we got prepared to get and send Zach off to college, which he is now there. He's a week and a day under his belt with classes, which is fantastic. Seem to be going well. He likes all his professors. Usually about this, by this point for me in college, I was pretty much, ditching class already. So yeah, I'm glad and proud that he is not me. So, but we got him in, we took a couple of trips, went to Knoxville and Alabama, and then came back, and then we went to Seattle, which was amazing, but way too short a time to spend up there. We got a little bit of decompressed time up in the mountains, but not really in the mountains, kind of more like the foothills of the mountains, about an hour and a half outside of Seattle, near or about maybe 5 miles outside of Cleolum, if you know the area, Washington. Beautiful. Cascade Mountains were majestic. We were in a pretty amazing little cabin setup, which was fantastic, but not exactly what they advertised, which was kind of a bummer on a couple of things. They talked about their quaint little towns that were nearby, and I guess if you consider a town with an AutoZone and a Dairy Queen quaint, well, yeah, maybe they did hit the mark, I don't know. But their internet was described as high speed, and it was a serious test to see if we were able to do any kind of internet whatsoever without smoke signals. So that gives you an idea of how great that was. There were a couple other little things, but nothing catastrophic. It was a great opportunity to get out. That was Zach's big opportunity, kind of his senior trip. He always has wanted to go to Seattle, so we spent the first night in Seattle, went to a Seattle Sounders game, which was amazing. We actually got to find the little square where they do all the fan walk up to the stadium. It was a seriously awesome experience. Sounders won in great fashion. I believe it was 3-0. So it was like a score fest, fantastic in the second half. Just the energy and the environment and the excitement was just so much fun. Had a great time. And then we got back and the reality of him leaving to go to college was upon us. And having to make the move, having to do some things, and ended up having a problem with his car. And actually, it's kind of why I wanted to talk to you about today, because bad customer service has a ripple effect, right? And he's got a Ford Focus. It's a 2014 that we bought him. We bought it because it was slow, number one. Number two, easy to drive. Number three, we've been a Ford family our entire lives, right? And so there was, some confidence that this would be a good first car. It would be a car he could take to college. He wouldn't have to worry about it. And almost immediately, we started to have some service issues. And I was driving it actually kind of in a little transition year when he had his driver's permit, right? So I was kind of driving it and traded in a vehicle towards it, and had a little bit of a transmission issue, and then another transmission issue, and then we got notified that they had this safety recall, and then they had this transmission recall, and there's been this, perpetual litany, that's what I would say, a litany of things that have gone wrong with this Ford Focus. And despite the fact that you take it to the dealership every time and they fix it, they don't really seem to care too much that they have manufactured and built a 2014 Ford Focus that is one giant roaring piece of crap, burning crap. And wouldn't you know it, getting prepped and prepared to go to the University of New Mexico, where he will be a long way, far away from us. I wanted to make sure, his brakes got checked. I want to make sure his tires, we bought him new tires. I want to make sure everything is tip top, no problems, no issues. This time last year, as he's starting his senior year, Mommy had to drive him to the first week of school because we had that transmission recall. And that was like some sort of clutch motor assembly BS that they originally said would be 2 or 3 days. Then it was the part is on national back order to streamline to 3 weeks. The guy, starting his senior year didn't have a car. How embarrassing is that? I mean, pain and suffering, I think, should have been due him, but or more so us, because we had to listen to him bitch about that, right? So that was kind of a challenge. Anyway, I'm going to actually open up my blinds here because I'm seeing on camera that my face is really dark. I look like one of those shrunken head dudes. Anyway, so that was last August, almost exactly to the month. So take it in, and he's got a battery problem that threw some codes that indicated that it was a transmission issue. I won't bore you with the whole story, but at the end of the day, there was, the indication that they had the transmission problem back, which didn't turn out to be the case, but their communication from the dealership was absolutely piss poor. We let this lady know that part of the reason we were bringing the vehicle in was because we were taking him to college. He was going to have this, so they knew this was a priority and our time window was going to be short. And his battery had some sort of blossom corrosion crap, so I went to replace that the day before I was taking the vehicle over to get its inspection, or not inspection, but get final check, right? And that's when the damn thing wouldn't start. And my wife calls me, I'm at soccer, and she's like, hey, vehicle's not going to start, you need to come back. So I went and got a battery, assuming that was going to be our issue, and guess what? We couldn't get the damn battery out. The housing had some sort of weird lock thing, and just everything was a colossal screw up. But miraculously, the vehicle started that night. It hadn't started for my wife, started for my son, so that was a plus. So we're going to take it over to the dealership, and we get in to go to the dealership on that Wednesday, and he gets this transmission error message. Now, I suspected that it could be related to the battery, being low. Maybe it wasn't, resetting those sensors. I don't know. I'm not a car guy. I shouldn't have to speculate, but we got it over to the dealership because I was taking his vehicle and my truck to get serviced, just to make sure we were good to go for traveling to New Mexico. And lo and behold, they're like, oh my God, that could be the transmission problem again. And so, well, it could be the battery. Let's not be crazy. The battery's in the trunk, brand new battery. If you guys could replace that for me, go ahead and change the oil. Let's see. They don't even listen to what I ask them to do, right? They tell me the transmission guy's got to look at it, and it would be at least a day, which turned into 2 days, which turned into 3 days, and now we're sitting at Friday, and they have all this back and forth about, well, it is a nationally known problem with the Ford and blah, blah, blah. I reach out to Ford Direct, like the big customer service, tweeted them, did the call. Nobody is helpful. And despite the fact that I have my wife has had an expedition, many expeditions. I've had many Fords. I had an expedition. I've had many Ford trucks. Well, this is my second Ford truck. Have this Focus. We've been a lifelong Ford family. Nobody seemed to care. And so we arrive at them on Friday afternoon with, we actually did replace the battery. It turned out that reset that code for the transmission, and supposedly nothing else was wrong with the vehicle, except they found a leak miraculously in the drivetrain. Okay, so this thing is sat on your lot for 2 days, 2.5, 3 days at that point, and you guys just now coming to that. And how long is that going to take? Because we're leaving Sunday to take him to college. Oh yeah, that's probably going to be like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of the following week. Okay, look, lady, I just told you that we're taking this vehicle to college. You guys couldn't expedite, couldn't work with us, couldn't do it. No. But you're probably okay to drive it. That's what she tells me. You're probably all right. Okay, so we get somewhere between Austin and Albuquerque, and the vehicle craps out. You guys are going to come get us. Well, that's not going to happen. Let me talk to my shop supervisor. So she puts me on hold for a long time and comes back. Oh yeah, that leak is a lot worse than what I have been led to believe. So you should not drive that. So we should fix that. So this is the Friday before the Sunday we're leaving to take this boy to college. He's already freaked out. He's going out of state. He's going to an environment of parts unknown. And despite the fact that he's got family in Albuquerque, it's just a completely, it's a lot of stress, a lot of changes. And so what do? We decide that, we don't trust this vehicle anymore. We are disappointed in the level of service that we've gotten. We should not have these kinds of problems regardless. And, I pretty much was done at that point with Ford. So we went down, got a Jeep, which was actually something he wanted for graduation and I refused to get. And so karma came back to bite me in the big old tushy, and ended up buying a vehicle. My wife ended up driving him out to New Mexico on Sunday because some other stuff happened. It was going to turn out that I was going to have to stay in Austin for a couple of extra days, and then I was going to have to join them anyway. So it gave us time to get that Jeep prepared and a couple of things that we did to customize it a little bit. All that work got done. Had to go pick up the Ford roaring piece of crap from the dealership when it was finally prepared and ready to go on Wednesday, when she talked to me on Friday, just saying. And finally got got that back, got the Jeep situated, packed the rest of his stuff that I was supposed to bring out, and drove that out to New Mexico, where he is now driving a brand new Jeep. And I can't believe for the first time ever that I'm saying that we are no longer a Ford family. We are likely to not ever buy a Ford product again. And I'll tell you why. Communication was not that hard. To really understand the situation that we were under and the time pressure that we were under, having just a little bit of empathy would have gone a huge distance towards helping us reaffirm why we chose them as a brand. But admitting you have a vehicle that has major problems, that is a well-known problem across the board, and sort of even half joking that it's probably not worth trading in, despite the fact that I owe 1 more year worth of payments on this thing, I was a bit flabbergasted, to be honest with you, that when you have a great customer who's been there buying vehicles from me since he was 21 years old enough to sign paperwork by himself, and, well, actually, I think my wife signed that paperwork. No, I signed it, I think. I don't remember. Okay, 22, we got our first Ford. Maybe it was 23. But anyway, whatever, you get it, right? I'm old now. And despite all of that and the fact that, you reach out to the big company to say, hey, look, this isn't right. We're not getting the attention we need. We're not getting the service that I think we deserve. There's definitely some issues and problems here. Nobody seemed to care. Actually, once we got the vehicle picked up and back, I got a survey call, not a survey call. I got a customer service call from their dealership going, hey, now in a few days, you guys are going to receive a call for a survey, and anything less than, a 10 is a failure. And I listened, and I let her do her spiel, and I said, I'm guessing if you talk to our service advisor that you guys won't be putting us down for any surveys. Oh, really? Really? She was really concerned. Yeah. In fact, still waiting on a call back from the manager. And this has been almost 3 weeks. This is what I dealt with. This is why customers get frustrated and upset. Now, are we the exception or are we the rule? I would say that we're probably, in this particular instance, the exception. But you have a vehicle that has major problems, and you also have a dad who is telling you that they're sending their kid to a far, far land, and that there was no possibility that I could have with good conscience or heart send him in a vehicle that I knew was going to have a problem. You would think you'd step up. Hey, let's work something out. Let's figure this out. Let me have our sales manager call you. Let us do something to keep you on a Ford that is more reliable. Not a thing. And that's the sad state of affairs when it comes to customer service for a lot of companies and a lot of, organizations, is that no matter what you are equipping your frontline people, your service advisors, your customer service reps, your salespeople, whatever you're telling them, this is the company line, this is the policy, this is how it's going to go. It's not my issue, not my problem. They're listening. Corporate America, they're listening, and they are doing exactly what you have asked them to do with no signs of empathy, no real interest in solving a problem. And they're just watching the clock, waiting until their shift ends, because I'm fairly committed that no matter what our circumstances would have been, this could have legitimately been, my son starts college on Monday. We got to be out there Sunday. Well, poor Bubba, that's not really his name, poor Zach would have been out there without a vehicle, and not anybody over at the Ford dealership would have cared. Now, it's not typical for me to use this platform to bash a company. And I hope you don't think that I am, but I am, to be honest. I'm disappointed, I'm frustrated. Now just thinking about it makes me want to go Hulk smash on somebody. Really not really. It's not even worth it to get upset at this point, but it does get my blood pressure up a bit but it's an example of where I think as organizations, so many companies are beginning to fail. One size fits all policy, not equipping our employees with the ability to not only just ask questions, but to actually hear the meaning behind the answers so that you can pivot, adjust, focus on trying to find a reasonable solution. It is definitely killing many otherwise potentially satisfying and profitable customer relationships for you. In the case of Ford, I have no idea. My wife could probably give me a better figure, but we probably paid $28,000, $30,000 for this Jeep. It's $30,000 worth of revenue and opportunity that left because you have a service advisor who had no ability to listen, no ability to show empathy for the situation that was occurring, and essentially pawned off on excuse after excuse after excuse of, this is a product with well-known and, well-documented issues. It's nationwide, there's lawsuits over it, there's problems galore, and, what do you want us to do about it? I want you to fix it is what I want you to do. I want you to step up to the plate and try and come to me with a reasonable explanation as to what we can do if the problem is going to persist and the issue is going to continue and this vehicle is not reliable long term. isn't it an opportunity for you to take a page out of a different book and potentially allow us the flexibility to do something else, to invest that $30,000 with you in a new vehicle? That's what out of the box thinking requires. And I don't even think it needs to be out of the box thinking. I just think it needs to be thinking, period, where you legitimately are going to take a look at what you can do to help that situation. I had something similar happen to me in my own software company recently, where I had a company that just flat out was struggling to benefit from our project management software. And we tried everything. I mean, we worked really, really hard and diligently to make the product work. But at the end of the day, you can't force people to use a product that they're dead set against using. And unfortunately, this particular license holder for us was in that situation. You can complain all day. You can say, hey, look, I got a contract that says you should be with us for a year. You can, dig in your heels and, talk about lawsuits and contract enforcement and all that bullshit. And at the end of the day, all you do is poke the bear. All you do is upset that situation more. And in our case, doing that would have been probably business-wise the right thing to do, but really at the end of the day, the wrong thing to do from a customer perspective. And you know what? That has paid off dividends for us. Why? Because that guy has already sent me a referral client because we let him out of his contract and he felt bad about the situation. That, my friends, is pretty powerful. That is what makes things occur. Turning a bad situation into at least a better situation. Organizations that are out there that are trying to build their business and their brand and find a way to grow that revenue need to start taking a look at what their customers are unhappy with, how they're equipping their people to deal with those situations, and trying to find a mechanism to help people think without having a flow chart or a talk track or, oh my God, that's our policy, I don't know what you want me to do about it kind of approach. I don't know. I don't normally rant on here, but by God, it felt like a ranting podcast and I guess video. So I apologize for that. I will try and be a bit more upbeat. I will give you some more positive ripple, some stuff the next time we are together. But I did want to throw that out there for those of you that are business leaders, for those of you running major corporations, for those of you that are in a position to deal with customers on a daily basis. Think outside the box. Try and help your folks do a solid if you can. And even if you can't, I bet there's someone within your organization who can. Allow the customer to feel like they've got a little bit of a choice in a bad situation. If you just help them in some capacity, even if it is maybe just arriving at an alternate solution, they'll know they were heard and they'll know they were understood and they'll know that they have a company that's very, very committed to working with them long term. And it may not always save the business for you, but it'll certainly leave a positive and lasting impression. I do know one thing, Ford, I love my F-150, but it'll be my last, most likely. It's sad, it's true. I love that little vehicle, but I don't think I want to go back to that dealership to have it serviced. And that, my friends, is sad, sad, sad. All right, so enough of that. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. I hope that maybe this has made you think, and as a consumer, it's made you a little leery of certain situations. And if you find yourself being in a situation where you are not being handled the way you need to, I'd love to hear about it, because I'll be happy to throw down a podcast about them. No, seriously, I don't want to get sued. At this point, I'm a little nervous. I'm sure my team of lawyers that's over here is probably going to say, you can't publish this. You can't put this out there because Ford will come back at you. It's all truth, people. This is like a deposition. I'm telling it like it is. Just kidding. I looked into the camera. That was creepy. Sorry. Anyway, I would love to hear other circumstances that you maybe had. Maybe a bad experience with a hotel, a bad experience with, say, HomeAway, Airbnb, maybe a restaurant, maybe some great technology purchase that you made that you thought was fantastic, and then it got it and it no worky. It didn't work like I thought it would. And call up the toll-free number and I'm like, hey, what's going on? Can you help me out? And they didn't care. I'd like to know those stories. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you for tuning in, period. I hope that, some of this information that I share and some of my opinions and my approaches to life and just disseminating some of this is useful and helpful for you in some way, shape, or form. If you want to look for me on the social medias, please do so at Twitter, RIPPLEON. I put out a Ripple Thought of the Day every day, most days, unless I forget, which I don't forget very often. You can follow me on Facebook. It's called Steve Harper, Harper. You can find me on the Facebooker. And I don't know, any other social platform that's probably out there, I'm probably on it. So, and of course the website, ripplecentral.com. If your organization, your company, your upcoming conference is looking for a fantastic and engaging speaker, I know a few. Well, I know me. I know a few other ones, but I would put me ahead of them, so you should call me. But I'm just kidding. I know some great speakers. So if you are looking for speakers for a particular topic, I probably know them and I can hook you up. But if you're looking to bring a little bit of ripple, a little bit of insight to your sales or business development teams, you want some unique takes on leadership and the power that the ripple can bring to your organization, I am your guy. I would love to talk to you. So reach out to me. Steve@ripplecentral.com is the email. All right, I'm done talking.